But your body will die. Whatever you call me, mine, you, yours, whatever you can touch, whatever you can smell, what you can hear will be gone. All these things are going to die. But whatever will be left after that is what you're supposed to know. As a human being, it's a gift that you have that capacity to know that is imperishable, omnipotent, omnipresent Paramatma. And this is your time to know. Not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow, today. And that's the journey of the religion. For the first time, if you do the meditation and you realize that you're starting to get the glimpse of that imperishable Paramatma, for the first time in millions of lives that you might have had so far, you're putting your foot on a solid rock. Otherwise, you were being swayed with the currents of life. You have lived many lives, believe me, and you will live millions of lives more. Until you have touched Paramatma, you have not had a solid footing. So, start your journey. Carl Jung was a great philosopher, and he said once that somehow man seems to have just shoved death somewhere deep in this psyche that he doesn't want to deal with it. And we better deal with it because it is a reality. And sometimes, who knows, that can become a springboard for launching your journey towards spirituality. Because otherwise, as soon as the moment is mentioned, we start weakening up. Legs start shaking, perspiration happens, and all the dreams come to an end. I had one patient yesterday, actually. A Guyanese female came with 2 days history of abdominal pain. We admitted her as an observation. I thought, maybe a virus or something like that. But we did a CAT scan and showed the thickening of the stomach. Her father died of stomach cancer at 54. We did the endoscopy, the whole lower portion of the stomach, and she had no symptoms so far. It's infiltrated, more than likely it's going to be cancer. So stomach cancer presents this way, and then practically prognosis is pretty bad. I mean, they do all the surgeries and this and that, but ultimately, and the husband was in my office yesterday to pick up the pain medications, and it's like one day and life is 180 degrees, total change. So far you were dealing with this, dealing with grandchildren, dealing with this, giving this bank account, somebody owes me this and I owe this. All these business transactions come to a stop. Now all of a sudden you have to think about this and this and this and this. So life changes. So we should turn our things around and not necessarily celebrate the life that we know as life, but we should spend our time in realizing something that has never perished, something that has always been there. So Gita says, Nainam chedani shastrami. Weapons cleave it not. Weapons cannot kill it, the Atma. You cannot kill it with any kind of weapons. Nainam dahati pravaka. Fire burns it not. Fire cannot burn it. Na chainam kledayanti apo. Water moistens it not. Water cannot moisten it. No shushyati marutaha. Wind dries it not. So Atma cannot be cut off by the weapons, cannot be burned with the fire, cannot be moistened with water, and cannot be dried with the wind. If that's your possession, it cannot be destroyed. If you own something that cannot be burnt with the fire, cannot be moistened with water, you will have it forever, because there is no destructive way. There is no way to destroy it. It cannot be destroyed. Won't you want to have that compared to the dollar bills? that can be taken away. Then that's the second chapter of Gita says that. And the next slok says, this self cannot be cut, not burned, nor moistured, not dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. The Atma is immovable. It cannot go anywhere. It cannot be perished. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be burned. It cannot be moistened. So that's the possession that you want to have. In that case, no one can take it away. We are not much different than the friends of Bhagat Singh. We keep on celebrating this life as we know. We're thinking death will never happen. But we are really running after the material objects. And material objects do perish. But there is an element that cannot be destroyed. Or we're missing every single second of our life. We're missing it. That every single moment could be utilized to realize this element which cannot be destroyed. And we do that all the time. That's why death is painful. That's why we want to run away from death. That's why we call death negative. Because negative is only negative if we compare with positive. Positive is our pleasures of life. Dhyato vishyam punsa. Sangat says, we somehow like to dance with the objects of pleasure. Objects of pleasures actually control you. And but if we somehow are in that tango, we're dancing with those objects. And because we consider that as a pleasure, death is negative. Death is something not to talk about.
But what is negative is the truth. We have to accept it.
It's not you have to accept it. The thing is that life as we know is there and we cling to it, so we rush to say that death is negative and we have to accept it. No, you do not have to accept it. Accepting is also a negative feeling, right? You have to realize, I'm talking about the yoga never teaches you anything negative. Yoga teaches you everything positive. Positive meaning you realize your true self, which is immovable, imperishable, indestructible. When you realize your own true self, death happens to the body, not to you. You are not the body anymore. You have risen yourself to the soul level. And when you am not, these are not just the words we're talking about. We're talking about actual realization. Words anyone can talk, but that can go on for hours. But in the moments of silence, in the moments of deep internal recesses of your psyche, you go in and you realize your true self, which is infinite, ever expanding, ever pleasurable, and ever joyous. Where is death? Death to who? Saint Francis, when he died, was one of the great saints in Christianity. When he died, he said, he literally apologized to the body. He says, all this life I have really made you suffer. I could have made a better use of this. So he actually asked for a pardon from his body. Look what we are doing to our body. We're throwing all the crazy things in there, right? That's a gift to us. This is the pleasurable, most pleasurable, enjoyable thing to take us to the Paramatma, and look what we're doing to our body. So when you raise yourself to the spiritually advanced state of mind, the death does not exist. Death is just not there. That is something you don't even have to talk about because it just doesn't exist because you are not the body. I always give an example of Monopoly, game of Monopoly, right? Where the kids play. When they start, everybody is given 10,000 rupees and then you build your hotels and motels and you collect rent and you become so happy when you collect rent, and when you go to jail you're so unhappy. All those pleasures and sufferings are only people who take the kids rather. They take the game so seriously. But you as an adult, you're sitting there, you know it's a game. So you laugh. The same way we all are children right now. We consider this life is so real, gain is so real, loss is so real, and we are so upset. The birth is so real, death is so real, but life is much more than that. Life that yoga calls life is much more than this birth and much more than this death. Then what is birth and what is death? Nothing. It's not saying that we want death. At the same time, if death comes, we have no problem either. It's a lot of times they mention about this spiritual people. They said they were so busy enjoying the life in the spiritual way that when the death came, they didn't even know about it. Death comes and goes. Another body will be there. Who knows? Who cares? So that's how the approach will be. The questions will remain only if you are considering at the body level. So in the meditation, we're raising ourselves to the spiritual zone. Then maybe the journey can begin in the right direction. So much for today.
Thank you.